Hey, help support the show by joining the Patreon or becoming a YouTube member. Also hit that like button to subscribe if you want more Cavs-focused content. All right, I've been out of town the last few days, so I haven't been able to do post-game reactions to the last two Cavs games where they lost to the Detroit Pistons and then came back at home in a rather convincing fashion and beat the Los Angeles Clippers, who were a team that seemingly gave the Cavs problems. My overall theme of this video is some of y'all gotta relax, okay? That's the overall theme of this video. They have 60 wins. I'm uploading this video. It is April 1st. This is not a joke. Some of y'all gotta relax, okay? Because the amount of panicking anytime the Cavs have lost a game this season is borderline absurd. From this fan base at times. And it's not everybody, right? Most people understand that the Cavs are a good basketball team and that a lot of what happened in this last 2-week stretch had a lot to do with just unfortunate scheduling due to Cleveland getting some NCAA tournament games in Rocket Mortgage Arena or whatever they're calling it now. Is it Rocket Mortgage Arena? Did they change it from Fieldhouse to? Y'all let me know in the comment section. But a lot of people freaked out, right? I got a lot of messages after this loss to Detroit. And we got to take this stuff in context. The NBA is a long season. There are some things called schedule losses in the NFL. I mean, not the NFL, in the NBA, right? Where because of how your schedule sits, you're just bound to have a shitty performance because of how much your schedule has been thrown into whack. And yes, the Cavs lost 4 games in a row on this West Coast trip. But look how weird that West Coast trip was, right? They go out west. They play at 10 o'clock, which is not usual. The Cavs went on a road trip earlier this year. They played at latest like 9 o'clock tips. They get all of their 10 o'clock tips for the whole season smashed into this one portion of the season. They also get 2 1 o'clock Sunday tips, which are notoriously bad for NBA players. And what coincides with those weird tip-off times, the horrific travel schedule, is a bad stretch of shooting from the Cavs. Well, that makes sense. That's not crazy. That's not unfounded. If we're looking for reasons why the Cavs failed to shoot the way that we expect the Cavs to shoot, is because they had a crazy travel schedule that they're not going to have replicated in the playoffs. The thing about the playoffs is your travel schedule is pretty light in the playoffs because you're playing one team. That team's on the same side of the country as you, and you're not doing back-to-backs. So how the Cavs perform on West Coast back-to-backs at 10 p.m. doesn't mean jack shit. Doesn't mean jack shit because you're not going to play West Coast back-to-backs at 10 p.m. in the NBA. Not in the playoffs. My bad. You'll do it in the NBA. You won't do it in the playoffs. So not really freaking out that they had some bad performances on a West Coast trip with circumstances that will not be replicated in the playoffs. Everybody freaks out. Oh, well, what in the playoffs? What in the playoffs? But then we worry about stuff that can't be replicated in the playoffs, like a West Coast road trip. Next thing on the docket, the Cavs lost a back-to-back to the Detroit Pistons after that crazy stretch of games. They got a home game versus San Antonio. They beat San Antonio. And then they get this weird back-to-back game versus a Detroit opponent that's been very excited to play them. They lost the game to Detroit, and it didn't look good at any point. Well, I wouldn't go that far, but it wasn't a great game for the Cavs. They looked sloppy. Yeah. Makes sense. It was a back-to-back game after a horrific travel schedule. And they were tired. They looked tired in that game. They didn't look fresh. Like, that's what happened. And I would like to remind folks, you're not going to play back-to-back games in the playoffs. Are you going to play a lot of games? Are these games going to be super intense? Yes. But are they going to be back-to-back? No. You don't do that in the playoffs, right? You play one game at home, rest, one game at home, so you get a 3-day road trip. Then you get a day for travel. I think you get 2 days for travel in the playoffs, depending on what round. And then you play on the other team's court for a couple of games. So a lot of stuff I really chalk up to travel. And also the Cavs are 60-15. 60-15. This team is beyond freaking out about like one West Coast trip not going their way. Like straight up. They are far beyond that. They are 60-50. They have won 60 games before the start of the month of April. Take a pill. Relax. Breathe. They're a 60-win basketball team. This is the most successful non-LeBron James-led Cavaliers basketball team of all time by like 2 games already. They still got like a whole 2 weeks left to play of basketball? This is the most successful non-LeBron team of all time by a margin. We gotta relax. There's going to be time to freak out. There's going to be time to be stressed. That's called the playoffs, right? But some of you guys are freaking out every game that the Cavs are playing at the end of their season when they've already clinched the division, when they're like a couple of games away from clinching the 1 seed. The 1 seed's not really in contention on the East. They have really not much to play for at this point in the season. And every time they lose, we act like they lost a playoff, like a game 6 in the playoffs. We got to relax. We got to relax. Yes, we don't know if this Cavs team is going to show up, but nothing we see in March and April is going to tell us about what this Cavs team is going to look like come playoff time. You can look amazing here and drop a turd in the playoffs. You can look like garbage here and sweep your way through the playoffs. It really don't matter. So try to keep that in mind, that, yes, while we want the Cavs to win as many games as possible between now and the end of the season, we should not be making grand statements about what this team is or isn't because they lost a couple of games at the portion of their season that literally matters and is the least consequential for them. They've locked up pretty much everything they need to lock up. The 1 seed will likely be locked up by the end of you could do it by the end of the week. What their magic number is, 3 or 4? Anyways, we gotta take a pill a little bit, right? That being said, the Cavs come back. They play a really good game versus Los Angeles, and Los Angeles battled back pretty strongly in this one. What I liked about how they played against the Clippers is the worry that we had, right? Is Zubac or guys like Zubac, are they going to be able to bully the Cavs in a 7-game series? Now, I argued a big body like Zubac, that's going to get a team like the Clippers in a 7-game series a game for sure. But in a 7-game series, is Zubac enough to eliminate you? No, right? This is really more of a worry about like if you play like a Jokic or if Embiid was on a better team, I would have more of a concern about it, right? Because Zubac's a good player. He's not that good of a player. So you're not going to it's not going to take a role player is not going to eliminate the Cavs because they're bigger than them and can move them around a little bit, right? Zubac in this game played, 37 minutes, got 14 points. 13 rebounds. It was a pretty modest night for Zubac. And then what I liked was that Evan and Jarrett got busy, right? 22 points for Evan. Jarrett Allen back to looking like Jarrett Allen. The garbage man is back on duty, and we need the garbage man to be the garbage man. 25 and 12. So it looks like whatever was bothering him hands-wise, hopefully that's a thing of the past. We've seen Donovan have some pretty good games as of late, which is something that you would like to see going into the playoffs. The shooting wasn't what we expect from the Cavs, right? They usually shoot about 40% from 3. They haven't shot that in a while, but if the Cavs get cold, I don't mind them being cold in the last couple of weeks of March and in the first couple of weeks of April. If they heat up in the second round of the playoffs and the third round of the playoffs, assuming they get past the first round, then I'm fine with that, right? But, you got to make sure you're able to win some of these games to get by. And look, they didn't shoot that great. They beat a 42 and 32 team out there in the West who has a big that causes problems for the Cavs. They were able to take care of that. So Cavs, they feel a lot more like the team that we're used to watching. And I get that you want to feel that, but also understand that they've proven that they are that team. We don't have to be so worried about if they actually are that team or not. I know some of us are just so worried about being embarrassed in the playoffs again. You just got to let shit play out, man. They're a 60-win team. Don't waste your time not enjoying it because you're afraid of, the team not performing to expectations. We can't control that. Well, your skepticism or your fear of that is not going to dictate whether the Cavs show up in the playoffs or not. Only the guys on that court can dictate that, and Kenny Atkinson and his staff, they can dictate that. But it ain't up to us, right? So what we can do is look at the record, look at the body of work they showed us throughout the season, and trust that body of work that we've all bared witness to. As annoying as Cavs fans have been at times after a loss for this team, there's only been 15 of them. So put that in perspective. It's all I'm asking, right? I worry that some of y'all aren't going to enjoy the Cavs because you spent so much time worried about if the Cavs are going to have this amazing postseason result or not. And, of course, you want the Cavs to have that amazing postseason result, but you also want to be able to enjoy it. And I think some of y'all are putting yourselves in a position to not enjoy it. So, make sure you're putting yourself in position to enjoy whatever the Cavs bring in the postseason, hopefully good things in the postseason, and enjoy what you're seeing now. Again, this is the best non-LeBron Cavs team we've ever seen. For some of you, this is the first time in your life that you've seen the Cavs win more than 50-something games without LeBron. You shouldn't just be throwing this away because you don't know what they're going to do in the postseason. You know what I mean? Not a fun way to ingest this. I know from experience, but y'all let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Have an even better night and have an even better day. Peace.